Hi, I'm Michael Forrest. This is Leaving the Laptop, episode 2, and I want to make playing electronic music live more like playing in a band, even if you're on your own. Now, I've come up with 3 questions that I'd like my live rig to answer, because otherwise, how do we know we're doing it right? Question 1. Can I play a pop song with proper verses and choruses and like a weird middle 8 where all the sounds change? Would all the songs kind of sound the same, or can I go nuts with different types of arrangements and instruments? Question 2. Can I improvise? What if I have an idea on stage, or one bit's going really well and I want to keep it going, or it does something weird and it sounds kind of cool and I want to explore it more? Question 3. Can I sync visuals? Can I program some live visuals and lighting for my different tracks so it doesn't all look really boring, especially if it's just me up there? And I'm really talking about automatic visuals rather than having baked or someone else controlling them. You probably have different desires to me, and that's okay, but I think this is a good starting point for a conversation. Method 1. Just start a band. If you just get a couple of mates together, you can play proper songs and you can improvise together. This is what being on stage should really feel like. Trouble is, you have to find some people who like the same sort of music as you do. They have to be reliable enough to turn up to band practice every week. And if it's electronic music, then everyone's probably used to doing everything on their own. So if you think a guitarist doesn't know when to shut up, try getting 3 DJs to leave enough space in the mix for anyone else. But it's a learning process. You probably won't get visuals to sync like this, but it doesn't matter as much because it's not just some geezer up on stage on his own. But yeah, you might be able to still. I mean, it really depends on the setup. Method 2. Playing to a backing track. Personally, I dislike this option because you just can't improvise or react to the audience. And when I see bands doing this, even if it's an embellishment to real playing, I feel like they're cheating. And if they have to do it, I'd prefer they be explicit instead of sort of hiding it. It's really a different sort of stagecraft though. I couldn't do what Lady Gaga's doing here. It's a lot of work to put together something like this, so the last thing you want is for the music to be unpredictable. Method 3. Fucking loop pedals. Don't like them. Yeah. Yeah. Method 4. A sound art installation. Now, if you're not really interested in pop music, you could join the world of sound art installations and music hacking. You can make some sort of contraption that does its own thing indefinitely, or let people fiddle with it, or you can go on stage with it and play it yourself. I feel like you usually end up watching machines doing their own thing this way, and often it's not particularly musical. Certainly not by pop music standards anyway. Method 5. Embellished piano or guitar. If you can sing and play the piano or guitar, you can do a lot by just adding in a drum machine or some effects. This can be a really personal performance. These instruments are really physical and expressive. You can be really gentle with the piano, or you can really hammer at it, and it looks good too. With a guitar, you can use pedals to mix things up, you can jam on a loop and improvise, engage with the audience, and really take your time because you're not really shackled to anything. Downside is you have to practice a lot, and all the songs are going to have similar instrumentation, which isn't going to work for your big pop songs or club anthems. Also, the electronic parts are going to be pretty simplistic by dance or pop music production standards. And you can't really sync visuals because, well, there's no clock signal or anything unless you have the drum machine going the whole time, which kind of defeats the point. Yeah. So now I want to get into some of my techniques and more of the things I've tried. So we're going to go 6.1.2.3 for a bit to give you an idea of the sort of tips that I was planning for this series. 6.1, a basic table full of gadgets. You can get a load of bits and pieces like Volcas and PO12s, maybe a few guitar pedals and a mixer, maybe yell through a microphone, maybe use an iPhone app for something. I'm talking about super simple little drum machines, loopers and sequencers with short little patterns. Every set will be different, but it probably gets a bit repetitive because you can't change everything in one go. So all the songs kind of melt into each other. It's really good for techno and drones. You can do this in a really expensive way too if you get into modular synths. You'll struggle to play a pop song like this. You'll find it hard to control visuals too, unless you have one thing that's playing all the time that you can get a clock signal out of, but that's really not what this is about, and we'll explore bigger options next. Method 6.2. Gadgets controlled by a pattern sequencer. Some bits of gear open up more possibilities, like an electribe, or if you've seen Sam Battle uses various sequences to control his modular rig. You can even play a pop song like this, and you could start getting a clock signal and data out of the main groove box about which pattern you're on to control some visuals. This is nice because you have individual sound generators, so everything's still really organic, but you can have some good riffs and melodies ready. A favourite method of mine for a long time was to use track to DJ and various smaller gadgets with the tempo set the same but not clock synchronization. So you can let the song play out when you want to sing and know the changes will be at the right time without always having to do it manually. And then you can loop a section if you want to improvise. So you can play a pop song by letting it roll like a backing track and sing the verses and choruses. And for improvisation you can let it loop and add effects and layers and other stuff. But I couldn't sync visuals with this because track to DJ on iPad doesn't send any information like that yet. Method 6.4. Tractor and a control D2. Now, I really liked having my songs broken up into 4 stems each. I had a really sort of visual feedback from this thing. I had to jump through some hoops to get the visuals synced, but I did manage to do it. Got some really accurately synchronized visuals. But even though it worked really well, it's got a laptop, which I just, can't allow. Method 6.5, Octatrack plus gadgets. Finally, I spent enough money on a piece of gear that I could tick all 3 boxes without compromising my admittedly idiosyncratic ideals. I have all my stems laid out on different tracks and broken up across different patterns. Each bank is one song and I can progress through the sections at my own pace by switching to different patterns. Using the trig arming mechanism means I don't have to match the pattern length to the loop length if I don't want to, and each stem can be manipulated individually or all together using the fader. I can send a clock signal to other gear and to the system responsible for lighting and visuals with accurate song information. So for pop songs, you can let it roll like a backing track, sing verses and choruses. For improvisation, you can let it loop and add effects and layer other stuff. And for syncing visuals, you can send the clock and song info to wherever. The next level with all this is to start thinking about that sort of like outwards facing stuff. So that's why I've started making my own things. DIY electronic instruments, I think, are the next level of all this. So I'll definitely be talking about some of that too. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you saw the first one, sorry this took so long to come out. I just had to work and then had to do other things and then, different priorities and, you know how it goes. But I really wanted to sort of lay out the whole landscape before I started going into the little bits and pieces, just so that you could kind of see the vision of everything. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Please, let me know what you think, what you want to know more about, all of that. I know you'll disagree with some things, and feel free to do so, because, obviously any harsh opinions I express sort of meant a little bit tongue-in-cheek, so, go easy. And I will hopefully see you in 2018. We'll see if I can kind of pick this up. Bye.